Today, we are diving deep into ALEX HORMOZI's legendary framework for creating offers that are just so good, people genuinely feel stupid saying no. But we're not going to start with theory. No, we're going to start with a true story. A story about hitting absolute rock bottom.
Picture this. It's Christmas Eve, 2016. ALEX HORMOZI is sitting in a dark movie theater, but he's not watching the film. His heart is pounding in his chest. Later that night, he turns to his girlfriend, Layla, and with those exact words, he confesses that everything he's built is gone. His business, his life savings, all of it in ruins.
So just how bad was it? Well, this number says it all. $1,036. That was his entire bank balance. Why? Because just hours earlier, he'd been forced to pay a salesman a $22,000 commission for sales he hadn't even collected the cash on yet. He used his last dime to make payroll, leaving him with just this.
So how in the world did he get here? And maybe more importantly, how did he claw his way out? Well, as you can imagine, this crisis didn't just happen overnight.
It was a total cascade of catastrophes. The money from selling his entire chain of gyms, basically his life's work, was just gone, stolen by his business partner. And in that same 30-day window, his mother was in a near-fatal accident and he totaled his car in a head-on collision. He had, without a doubt, hit rock bottom.
And right there, in that moment of absolute despair, this happened. After Alex told Layla she should leave him, she looked him right in the eye and said this. It was her unwavering belief in him that gave him the courage to make one last, desperate, absolutely massive bet.
On the day after Christmas, with practically no money to his name, he decided to go into debt at a rate of over $400 an hour. He maxed out his last business credit card, betting everything he didn't have on a brand new business idea, launching 6 new ventures all at the same time.
And that crazy bet? It didn't just pay off, it paid off in a huge way. In just 30 days, that gamble brought in over $100,000. And within a year, that same business was pulling in $1.5 million a month. It was an unbelievable turnaround, and it was all powered by one single core concept that he had absolutely mastered.
So, what was the secret sauce? What was the big idea that fueled this comeback? It all comes down to what he calls the Grand Slam offer. The idea is actually pretty simple, but it is totally transformative. You have to make people an offer so good they feel stupid saying no. Now, a Grand Slam offer isn't about being just a little bit better than your competition. No. It's about being so different, so unique, that you literally can't be compared to anyone else. It pulls you out of the conversation about price and forces people to look at you purely based on the value you provide. You're basically creating your very own category. Think of it this way. Most businesses are playing in a commoditized market. They're all selling roughly the same thing, so the only lever they can pull to compete is price. And that just becomes a brutal race to the bottom, right? Margins get thinner and thinner. But a Grand Slam offer, that differentiates you. It lets you compete on value, which means you can charge a premium. And the math here is it's staggering. Look at this. With the exact same $10,000 ad spend, a standard, commoditized offer actually loses $5,000. But the Grand Slam offer, because it's so compelling, it gets more clients at a much higher price, collecting over $112 grand. That is 22 times more cash, turning a huge loss into a massive profit.
Okay, so this all sounds great, right? But how do you actually build a Grand Slam offer? Well, luckily, HORMOZI doesn't just leave us hanging. He breaks it all down into a simple but incredibly powerful formula for engineering value.
And here it is, the value equation. Now, it might look a little mathy, but the concept is super intuitive. Everything on the top of the equation, the dream outcome and the belief they'll achieve it, you want to make those as big as possible. And everything on the bottom, how long it takes and how much work it is, you want to shrink those down to be as small as possible.
So you've basically got 4 levers you can pull to crank up the value. You want to amplify their dream outcome, what they really truly want. You want to skyrocket their certainty that they'll actually get it. And then, on the other side, you want to be ruthless about shrinking the time it takes and slashing the amount of work they have to do. The real magic happens when you start working on all 4 of these at once. Now, if you want a perfect real-world example of this equation in action, look no further than this. The dream outcome for both meditation and Xanax is the same, relaxation. But Xanax is a multi-billion-dollar product. Why? Well, think about the equation.
its perceived likelihood of achievement is near 100%. The time delay is just a few minutes, and the effort and sacrifice? It's zero. It has a much higher perceived value, which proves that people will pay a premium for certainty, speed, and ease.
So, let's bring this all home. How do we apply this? The big mental shift is to stop thinking about just selling a product or a service and to start thinking about constructing an offer that pushes every part of that value equation to the absolute max.
And when it comes to pricing that incredibly valuable offer, I absolutely love this quote from the marketing legend Dan Kennedy. When you create this much value, you not only can, but you should charge a premium. It's not about being the cheapest, it's about being the most valuable. You see, charging more isn't about greed. It's actually a strategy. Higher prices attract clients who are more committed and more likely to do the work. The higher price also increases the perceived value. And those higher margins? They let you reinvest in making the customer experience even better, which leads to better results, which creates this powerful, self-reinforcing cycle of success for everyone.
And this right here is maybe the most important takeaway of all. The game isn't just to raise your prices for the sake of it. No, the real goal is to engineer so much incredible value using those 4 levers that even at a premium price, your customer feels like they are getting an absolute steal. You want to create a massive, massive gap between the price they pay and the value they get.
So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. For a minute, forget about making bigger promises. Just focus on the bottom of the value equation. That's where the most innovative companies live. What is one thing you could do right now to make achieving the result easier, faster, or more seamless for your customer? Seriously, think about that. Because the answer, well, that could change everything.